Beneath the crystal chandeliers of the 1992 Milan charity gala, Elena's pearl necklace glinted. She had just accepted the Charity Woman of the Year trophy, the coolness of champagne still lingering on her fingertips, when she turned and crashed into Philip's arms only to find his arm wrapped around Sophia Ross's waist. The Italian woman's slightly rounded belly under her ivory dress was like a ticking time bomb, but even more dazzling was the sapphire brooch pinned to her neckline. The light reflected through its diamond-cut facets made Elena clench the base of her trophy tightly. It was a memento her mother had pressed into her hand on her deathbed. 3 years earlier, Elena had thought it burned in the fire that destroyed their old Budapest mansion, yet now it adorned her husband's mistress. Spotting Elena, Sophia deliberately pushed out her belly. Her voice sickly sweet. "Mrs. Vanderbilt, Philip says this brooch suits me perfectly." Philip's Adam's apple balked. He tried to pull his hand away, but Sophia held it fast. "Look, the baby seems to like it too." All eyes in the room turned to them, and the clicking of reporters' cameras fell like hailstones on Elena's heart. She thought back to 2 hours earlier, when Margaret had reminded her in the car, "Hold your head high for the Vanderbilt name tonight." Now the elderly woman was approaching from the back of the crowd, the sapphire atop her cane glinting in eerie harmony with the brooch. Her gnarled fingers were clenched wide inside her sleeves. This elaborately staged encounter was not just her husband's betrayal, but a laceration of the entire family's honor. And her mother's keepsake had become the mistress's weapon to declare war. In November 1980, in Amsterdam's Central Station, the clock struck 6 as Elena Kovacs pulled the collar of her mink coat tighter. The cashmere scarf she had brought from Hungary still carried the dampness of Budapest's autumn rains, clinging to her neck like a cool jade pendant. Her gaze was fixed on a huge poster of little Annie on the platform, the gilded letters of her name, Elena Kovacs, in the lead row section glowed warmly in the twilight, yet her fingertips were icy cold. "Madam, the car is here." The butler Hans's voice pulled her from her trance. As he took the Louis Vuitton suitcase from her hand, Elena noticed gold glitter stuck in the leather seams it had rubbed off from the champagne a producer had spilled on her skirt 3 nights earlier at the Cannes Film Festival after-party. His drunken words still echoed in her ears. "You're only 16. Those old money families will devour you whole, even gnawing away the glow of little Annie." In the leather back seat of the black Mercedes, Philip Vanderbilt had the Telegraph spread across his knees. On the front page of the entertainment section was a photo of her leaning on his shoulder in a white gauzy dress. The headline in bold, "Europe's sweetheart marries into the Tulip dynasty." "Look at this ridiculous headline," he said with a laugh, folding the newspaper and brushing the back of her hand with his thumb. "Mother's prepared a 7-course welcome dinner, all your favorite Hungarian dishes." Elena's nails subtly dug into the leather seat. She didn't tell him she had never mentioned her favorite foods to him. This man had even forgotten her birthday twice. Those favorites were merely items from the Elena preferences list Hans had given him in advance. The street scenes outside the window blurred past, like her recently ended acting career, while the gilded gates of Vanderbilt Manor loomed closer. Behind them, 12 marble angel statues stood silent in the twilight, like watchful sentinels. As the manor gates slowly opened, Elena counted the 12th angel. Margaret already stood at the top of the steps, dressed in a black velvet gown with a pearl necklace wrapped twice around her neck, leaving a stiff indentation. Her gaze swept over Elena as if appraising an antique awaiting inspection. "Good day, Mother," Elena curtsied according to the rules her grandmother had taught her, bending her knees just enough to make her skirt flare like a flower. A faint creak came from her spine. It was an old injury from a broken coccyx, sustained while filming a jump scene for little Annie. Philip had never once asked about it. In the dining room, crystal chandeliers made the silverware shine. Margaret tapped the rim of her cup with a spoon. The clear sound instantly silenced the chattering servants. "Philip says you turned down the lead in the Roman holiday sequel." Her eyes fixed on the foie gras in front of Elena, cold, congealed mass like solidified butter. "Yes, Mother," Elena replied as the servants removed the foie gras, her fingers clutching her napkin tightly. "I want to focus on my family." She had practiced this answer 10 times in front of the mirror, yet her throat still felt tight. Her real reason. The director had said the sequel's leading lady needed a more mature demeanor, and Philip had hinted that a Vanderbilt woman has no need for public attention. Margaret suddenly spoke in fluent Hungarian, her words rapid like machine gun fire. "Is your father still teaching piano at the Budapest Academy of Music? I heard he won a teaching award last year." Elena's fork scraped sharply against the porcelain plate, champagne bubbles caught in her throat, nearly making her choke. She clearly remembered that the family profile Philip had given her stated, "Margaret does not understand Hungarian," and there had been no mention of her father at all. How much had this old woman investigated about her? It was then that Hans approached with a soup bowl, his eyes darting to Elena for a split second, the veins on the back of his hand twitching slightly. Elena suddenly recalled that when she had first gotten out of the car, she had seen Hans hand Margaret a leather pouch, the corner of an envelope from the Budapest Academy of Music peeking out of the opening. She realized she had never escaped being investigated, not for a single moment since stepping foot on Dutch soil. Late at night, Philip slept soundly in the four-poster bed, his breath smelling of red wine. Elena walked barefoot into the bathroom. In the mirror, the blonde girl still had the curly waves from Little Annie, and the glitter at the corners of her eyes unremoved looked like shattered diamonds dusted on her lashes. She thought of the flashbulbs at the Cannes Awards ceremony, when she had held her trophy and declared, "I want to act until I'm 80. Now those spotlights had been replaced by the gilded table lamp on her nightstand, illuminating the Vanderbilt family etiquette code Margaret had given her. On the title page, in red ink, were the words, "Rule 1, a woman's duty is to serve her husband and raise her children." At 6 o'clock the next morning, when the maid brought the silk robe embroidered with the letter E, Elena was already sitting at her vanity brushing her hair. Her hair had grown much longer, reaching her waist, the proper length for a married woman, as Margaret had put it. "Madam requests your presence at morning prayers at 7, the maid said, her eyes quickly darting to Elena's abdomen, her tone cautious with a silent reminder. "The doctor said the first 3 months of conception require special care. You must not overexert yourself." Stained glass windows in the small chapel split the morning light into shards. Margaret knelt in the front row, the rosary beads sliding between her fingers like a cold snake. After the prayer, the elderly woman suddenly turned, placing her hand on Elena's shoulder with such force it felt like she might crush her bones. "A Vanderbilt woman's first child must be a son," she said, her nails digging into Elena's flesh. "If you fail, you're nothing but a decorative vase who can act easily replaceable." As Elena stared at Margaret's pearl necklace, she suddenly thought of her mother's sapphire brooch. Her mother had once said, "Jewelry is a woman's strength." But here, she couldn't even control her own body. The snow fell heavily on Christmas 1981. The Christmas tree at Vanderbilt Manor was a fir tree brought from Hungary, its branches strung with small golden bells that tinkled in the wind. When Elena entered the ballroom holding the newborn Hans Vanderbilt, the clinking of champagne flutes suddenly fell silent. Everyone's eyes fixed on the swaddled baby in her arms. Margaret hurried over. As she took the swaddle, the baby's cry shattered the glass of the ancestral portrait on the wall, sending spider web-like cracks spreading across it. "Well done," the elderly woman said, tapping Elena's shoulder with her cane. The sapphire atop it pressed against Elena's collarbone, cold as a scalpel. "Now you are a worthy Mrs. Vanderbilt." Looking at Hans's wrinkled little face, Elena suddenly remembered filming Little Annie, when she had held a prop baby and said, "I want to be a good mother someday." But now she barely even had the chance to change her child's diaper. Margaret had declared, noble ladies do not perform such menial tasks. She hadn't even been allowed to nurse, forced to let a wet nurse take over. Outside the French windows, photographers frantically snapped photos of the Christmas tree. The flashbulbs cast shadows of the fir tree on the wall, resembling the trees of her hometown forest, yet lacking any warmth of home. Days passed like a precise clock, cycling through etiquette lessons, morning prayers, and family gatherings. Elena gradually forgot how to act, forgot where she had put her Cannes trophy. She only remembered every rule in the Vanderbilt family etiquette code, and Margaret's words, "A woman must learn to endure." It wasn't until March 1992, at Milan Fashion Week, as she stood before the Vanderbilt jewelry booth, her fingertips brushing the condensation on a champagne flute, that she suddenly remembered she had once been the center of attention herself. Philip was supposed to stand beside her for the ribbon cutting, but that morning, the front page of the Corriere della Sera showed him with his arm around Sophia Rossi's waist, the backdrop a luxury villa atop Monte San Vitor. She had seen that house before on Philip's credit card bill, charged on the anniversary of their 10th wedding anniversary. "Madam, would you like a warm drink instead?" Her assistant handed her a handkerchief to wipe the cold sweat from her palms, her voice lowered. "The reporters haven't noticed anything amiss yet." Elena took a sip of champagne, the bubbles burst on her tongue with a sour taste. She was about to speak when flashbulbs suddenly turned toward the entrance. Reporters swarmed forward with microphones, like sharks catching the scent of blood. "MS Kovacs." Is it true your husband paid 200 million lire to settle Sophia Rossi's contract dispute? A female reporter in tortoiseshell glasses thrust a recorder in front of her, her eyes behind the lenses sharp with curiosity. We hear Ms. Rossi is pregnant. Please address me as Mrs. Vanderbilt, Elena said, twisting the wedding ring on her ring finger. The edges of the diamond dug into the crevice between her fingers, the pain keeping her sharp. My husband has always been eager to support the arts. Ms. Rossi is an actress he admires. As for the other rumors, they are completely unfounded. Her smile was perfectly practiced, elegant yet firm, and yielding, just like the smile she had worn years earlier when dismissing questions about plastic surgery at a press conference. On the private jet home, Margaret stirred her black tea with a silver spoon. The clink of porcelain against metal sounded like a death knell. The villa Philip bought that Italian whore is paid for with trust fund money, the elderly woman suddenly said, her tone lacking anger, only cold calculation. That money was left to the children by his father. He has no right to touch it. Elena opened the Oxford primary school schedule, her fountain pen leaving an ink blot on the paper. She counted her heartbeats until she heard Margaret set down her teacup. Mother, I want to focus on arranging the children's spring break first, she said, handing over the schedule and pointing to Hans's equestrian lessons. Hans says he wants to compete in the Easter equestrian tournament. Margaret glanced at the schedule and suddenly smiled. You're quite skilled at evading the subject, she said, her eyes fixing on Elena's wedding ring. But remember, Vanderbilt women must do more than manage household affairs. They must learn to protect the family's assets. That night, in the study, photos from the private detective covered the entire walnut table. Elena picked up the top one. Sophia stood on a balcony watering flowers, wearing one of Philip's white shirts. Napkins embroidered with the Vanderbilt family crest fluttered on the clothesline napkins she had personally embroidered for Philip for his birthday the previous year. She slid open the latest envelope with a letter opener. Inside fell a hospital appointment slip for Rome's top obstetrician, scheduled for the following Tuesday, under the name Sophia Rossi. Madam. Hans coughed softly outside the door, his voice hesitant. Master Hans needs your signature on his math homework. He says it's due tomorrow. Elena quickly swept the photos into a drawer, but her fountain pen slipped from her trembling fingers. Ink spread across the pure wool carpet exactly like the spilled paint on the set of Little Annie. That year, she had hidden in her dressing room, her face streaked with tears, because the director had told her she was acting too falsely. It was then that Philip had walked in holding a bunch of wildflowers, saying, "You're more beautiful than any movie. You don't need to act to be beautiful." But now, this man who had once claimed to love her was spoiling another woman like a princess. At breakfast the next morning, Margaret unfolded the Financial Times. In a small corner of the entertainment section was a line of text. Sophia Rossi's manager denies pregnancy rumors, citing weight gain due to work stress. The elderly woman tapped the newspaper with her silver spoon. The Milan TV station we just acquired is remaking Roman Holiday. Philip recommended Sophia for the lead role. Elena's knife froze on her toast. Cream dripped down the serrated edge onto the tablecloth. Philip will be home for dinner tonight, Margaret suddenly said, her eyes lingering on Elena's abdomen. It was the first time Margaret had mentioned Philip since Elena's second miscarriage. That evening, Philip walked into the dining room, smelling of cologne mixed with a strange perfume. Elena was braiding their youngest daughter Amy's hair. Daddy. As the children rushed toward him, she noticed the rose-colored lipstick smudged on his collar, the exact same shade Sophia had worn on the front page of the Corriere della Sera. Darling, Philip said, kissing her cheek. A hotel key card peeked out of his suit pocket, emblazoned with the logo of a Rome hotel. Elena recognized the familiar scent of his aftershave, mixed with an unfamiliar jasmine fragrance, the perfume Sophia endorsed, which she had seen displayed at the Fashion Week booth. Margaret tapped her cane on the floor, her voice cold as ice. Have you seen the proposal for Milan TV? The sapphire atop her cane glinted coldly under the chandelier, the same temperature it had been when it pressed against Elena's collarbone years earlier. Did you ask Elena's opinion before recommending Sophia for the lead? Philip's fork slipped on his plate, scraping loudly. Sophia is more suitable for the role, he said. She's young, talented, and... He paused, avoiding Elena's eyes. And the audience likes her. The sharp clatter of silverware hitting the floor cut him off. Elena stood abruptly. I'll check on the apple pie in the oven. In the kitchen, maids were tearing basil leaves to sprinkle over salad. The green juice stained their fingertips, just like the paint had stained hers on set years ago. She stared at the flickering flames behind the oven door, listening to Margaret's sneer from the dining room, using the family TV station to promote your mistress. Your father was never this stupid. Philip's defensive words mingled with the clink of porcelain. Sophia is pregnant with. Elena wrenched open the oven door. A wave of heat rushed over her face, burning her eyes red. On Christmas Eve 1991, she had stood just like this in front of the fireplace, listening to Philip say he was going to Zurich on business. That day, she had found a Cartier bracelet in his suitcase. The receipt was expensive enough to buy the entire apartment building in her hometown of Budapest. And the bracelet's size. It had never been hers. Madam! The maid screamed, snatching the baking tray away. The apple pie was charred black, billowing with smoke. Your hand! Elena looked down. Her palm was blistered from the oven rack, throbbing with pain but not as much as the ache in her heart when she had seen that hospital appointment slip. She suddenly remembered her mother's words, when pain reaches its peak, you go numb. Now she knew it was true. When she returned to the dining room, the children were arguing over the last piece of chocolate. Philip's phone vibrated on the table. When the screen lit up, Elena saw the wallpaper clearly, a selfie of Sophia, wearing a silk robe and leaning on the terrace of the Milan villa. In the background hung an oil painting she had personally chosen as a wedding gift, a forest of Hungarian fir trees. Hans, pass your sister her napkin, Elena said, her voice as steady as if she were reciting lines. Only she knew the pain in her fingertips was spreading through her veins to her heart. Squeezed her hand back then. He had said, don't be afraid. I'm here. But now, he didn't even have the courage to look at her. MRS, Vanderbilt. The reporter in tortoiseshell glasses pushed to the front, her microphone nearly touching Elena's lips. Did you know about your husband's cooperation plan all along? What do you think of MS, Ross's actions? Elena's tears fell precisely on the second pearl. As she lowered her head, she noticed red soil on Margaret's shoe tips, the same red soil from outside Sophia's agency, which she had seen in the photos that morning. All I know, she said, her voice as light as a wedding veil yet loud enough for everyone to hear, is that some people dare to use the Bible as a checkbook. Such people are not fit to speak of morality. Margaret's lips twitched slightly. The sapphire atop her cane suddenly shifted toward Philip, a silent warning. Reporters' questions grew more intense. Philip's face turned bright red, but he couldn't say a word. The next day, the front page of the Daily Mail showed Sophia fleeing the clinic, her face covered. The subtitle quoted Margaret directly, what kind of Madonna acts like a high-class cowgirl? At breakfast, Elena spread out all the newspapers. Every report mentioned the 60 million guilder check copy with Sophia's rose-colored lip print smudged along the edge. Philip's coffee had gone cold, and dissolved sugar cubes settled at the bottom of the cup. He sat at the other end of the table, his head bowed like a guilty child. Hans asked if he can ride the pony today, the maid reported softly, her eyes darting between Elena and Philip. Elena looked out the window. Reporters clustered around a delivery truck that had just arrived filled with white roses, their petals still damp with dew. A card tucked among them read, to my one and only lady. Margaret tapped the caramel custard with her silver spoon, her tone mocking. Tell the florist to donate them all to the orphanage. Don't let these cheap flowers stain the manor. She noticed Elena twisting her wedding ring and lowered her voice. Once we get the original hospital records, we can talk to him about divorce. The butler's hurried footsteps interrupted them. He handed Elena an envelope, his face serious. Madam, the detective just delivered this. He said it's important. Elena opened it. A yellow photo slipped out. 15-year-old Sophia stood backstage at the Venice Film Festival, accepting a glass of champagne from a judge. On the back, in childish Italian handwriting, were the words, to my dear godfather. Elena's fingertips lingered on Sophia's innocent smile, then she heard Margaret's sneer. That judge from the Venice Film Festival was jailed for sexually assaulting a minor in 1990. Who would have thought that whore had connections to him back then? The butler brought a warm towel. Elena realized her palm was bleeding, cut by the tip of the letter opener. Did Philip know about this? She asked, her voice barely audible, her heart constricting like a fist. He only knew that whore had an abortion when she was 16, Margaret said, stirring her black tea. The porcelain cup reflected her twisted reflection. We'll get the original hospital records tomorrow. Enough to put that bitch in jail for 10 years. The sound of the children's laughter drifted in from outside. Hans was teaching Amy to ride the pony, their voices were as clear as wind chimes. Elena counted the iris patterns on the windowpanes until she heard the roar of Philip's Rolls-Royce crunching over the gravel driveway, 3 times louder than usual, as if venting anger. "Madam," the maid rushed in, her face white. "Sir broke the Ming Dynasty vase in the entrance hall. He says he wants to settle scores with you." Margaret held up a hand to stop her, her tone calm. "Let him break it. It's a fake anyway." She jabbed her cane into the carpet, leaving a deep indentation. "Prepare afternoon tea for the children. Remember, spread the strawberry jam on the bottom half of the scones. Hans hates getting jam on his fingers." When Philip burst into the dining room, his tie was askew, one button missing from his shirt collar, exposing his collarbone. He grabbed the lemon water in front of Elena and gulped it down. His Adam's apple bobbed like he was swallowing shards of glass. "Mother, those reports are lies. You framed me." "Sit down," Margaret said, tapping the wine stain on his trousers with her cane. Her eyes were cold. "You smell like cheap brothel perfume. Don't stain my carpet." As Elena watched her husband slump into the armchair, she suddenly remembered their wedding day. He had been so nervous he'd broken 3 shirt buttons. Back then, he still blushed, still said, "Elena, I'll love you forever." Now, his gold cufflinks remained, but they glinted coldly, matching the sapphire necklace at her collarbone, yet lacking its former warmth. "Sophia just had a miscarriage," Philip said, his nails digging into the walnut tabletop, leaving deep scratches. "Because of those damn reporters. She lost our child." Margaret suddenly laughed, her false teeth glinting like mother of pearl in the light. "Spare me. The hospital records from Rome say it was an ectopic pregnancy and the blood type doesn't match. Did you think I wouldn't know your blood type?" She tossed down a fax, the hospital's diagnosis certificate. "That child was never yours." Philip's face turned whiter than the napkins. He stared at the certificate, his fingers trembling. "That's impossible," Sophia said. "You believed everything she told you." Margaret sneered. "Did you forget? Last year, during your physical, the doctor said your sperm motility is too low to easily impregnate a woman." Elena noticed a faint ring mark on Philip's left ring finger. He had been wearing his wedding ring that morning, but now it was gone. "Where's your wedding ring?" she suddenly asked, her voice so calm it startled Philip. Philip's eyes darted away. "I lost it, accidentally." "Now, let's discuss the divorce terms," Margaret said, raising her cane like a conductor. The sapphire flashed before Elena's eyes, like the ice pick that had pressed her collarbone years earlier. "Either sign, or wait for tomorrow's Telegraph headline." "I already have it ready," Vanderbilt heir caught in scandal with sex offender mistress. The butler presented a folder. Elena saw the gilded words 400 million euros on the title page, the number of zeros stretching like piano keys. "This is your compensation," Margaret said, her tone unyielding. "After signing, you'll never see the children again, and you'll never use the Vanderbilt name." "Are you insane?" Philip hurled his coffee cup at the Persian carpet. Brown liquid splattered Elena's skirt. "The group's profit last year was only 300 million. How could you possibly give me 400 million? Or I'll hand this over to the prosecutor," Margaret said, flipping to the second page of the folder. Photos of Sophia with a mafia boss slipped out. Sophia was laughing brightly in them. "Fraud, money laundering, abetting perjury, these charges are enough to put you in jail." Elena stood suddenly and walked to the window. Hans was flying a kite with Amy in the garden. The kite, painted with the Hungarian flag, was one she had made for the children the previous year. The sun stretched their shadows long, like the afternoons she'd spent in Budapest's parks as a child, when her mother was still alive, still flying kites with her. "The children stay with me," she said, her voice startling the pigeons on the windowsill. "And we'll have a Hungarian fir tree for Christmas every year, shipped from Budapest, no exceptions." Philip's fountain pen hovered over the divorce papers, his hand still trembling. "Elena, after all these years together, are you really this cruel?" "Cruel?" Elena turned, her gaze fixing on him. "When you were with Sophia, did you ever think of me and the children? When you spent the children's trust fund, did you ever think about being cruel?" Her voice rose suddenly, unleashing years of repressed anger. When Hans looked up at her in confusion, she saw her own distorted reflection in his pale blue pupils, exactly like the little girl in Little Annie, driven to despair by her stepmother. Margaret suddenly spoke in Hungarian, her voice low. "Do you remember what your grandmother used to say?" The elderly woman's gnarled finger traced the family crest on her cane. "When a wolf clamps its jaws on your throat, smile and count its teeth." Flashbulbs suddenly flickered outside the window. Reporters were hiding in the bushes, taking photos. Elena slowly unfolded her napkin and placed it on her lap. The rustle of silk drowned out the voice message playing from Philip's phone, Sophia's voice trembling with tears. "Philip, give me the phone," Margaret said, her voice like an ice pick scraping porcelain. The dining room fell so silent even the children stopped chewing. Amy buried her face in her napkin, her shoulders shaking slightly. Philip's fingers slipped on his phone case. "Mother, it's just a work call." "No," the elderly woman said, pressing the tip of her cane against his wrist. The sapphire glowed with a venomous blue light under the lamps. "Hand it over." Hans silently handed Margaret her reading glasses. As she put them on and unlocked the phone, Sophia's tearful Italian exploded in the silent dining room. "Philip, the reporters are downstairs. They're saying I'm pregnant with your child. What do I do? Come save me." Slap. Margaret slammed the phone onto the silver plate, sending champagne bubbles scattering in panic. Elena counted the iris patterns on the tablecloth until she heard the elderly woman curse in Dutch, the first time she had ever heard Margaret swear. "Hans, take your sisters to the conservatory to see the new butterflies," Elena said, tucking an almond cookie into his hand. Her fingertips brushed his cold palm. "Don't let the reporters see you." Hans hesitated, glancing at his father. Philip's tie was askew, his face as pale as paper. "Come on, Amy," Hans said, taking his sister's hand. As he walked past Philip, he deliberately dropped the cookie wrapper on his father's leather shoes. Once the sound of the children's footsteps faded down the hallway, Margaret suddenly laughed a bitter, mocking sound. 200 million lire for a contract settlement," she said, picking up the phone with a dinner knife. Sophia's selfie glinted through cream stains. "I thought you'd at least haggle. I didn't know you were this generous." Philip scraped his fork against his plate, the song sharp with anger. "She's carrying a Vanderbilt child, your grandson. A horse child deserves the Vanderbilt name." Margaret tossed down a copy of a check, the number of zeros stretching like a phone number. "Did you think I wouldn't find out you used half the children's trust fund to pay her?" Elena recognized Philip's signature 10 times messier than the one on their marriage certificate, the final stroke trailing off crookedly. Flashbulbs outside suddenly intensified, like an unexpected downpour. Elena felt the letter opener hidden under her napkin, its tip pressed against the blister on her palm, the pain keeping her alert. In the photos the detective had delivered 3 days earlier, Sophia had been wearing the children's clothing brand Elena endorsed, posing like an angel in front of Milan Cathedral. In her arms was the teddy bear Hans had loved most as a child. "There will be a press conference at 10 tomorrow morning," Margaret said, pulling a sheet of paper from her pearl handbag and placing it in front of Philip. "Memorize this." Not a single word out of place. As Philip reached for it, Elena noticed the rose-colored lipstick smudged on his cuff, the same shade as the stamp on the hospital appointment slip. "What is this?" His voice trembled. "You want me to lie?" "Lying is better than disgracing the Vanderbilt name," Margaret said, tapping the paper with her cane. "Either recite it, or get out of this house and never see the children again." Hans appeared silently at the door. "The editor of the Mirror is on the line," he said, his face grave. "He says he received anonymous photos of MS, Sophia at the hospital. Tell him we have something 3 times more explosive," Margaret said, suddenly switching to Hungarian and turning to Elena. "Elena, put on that V-neck Dior gown. Remember to wear the pearl necklace, you need to look dignified." Her gnarled finger brushed Elena's collarbone, as cold as the cane had been years earlier. "The press conference needs a perfect Mrs. Vanderbilt." In the dressing room, the mirror reflected Elena's pale face. She unbuttoned her pearl shirt mechanically, listening to Philip's shout from downstairs. "That's my child. You can't do this to me." The chandelier shook, and through it came Margaret's calm reply. "Are you sure?" The maid's hands trembled as she held out the gown. Elena smoothed the wrinkles at her waist, suddenly remembering a line from Little Annie, "A princess never looks down at the mud, because she knows traps lie hidden beneath it." In the living room, Margaret was on the phone, her voice low. "Yes, tell them I said so. That Italian whore is a hired actress. Philip paid her 60 million guilders to have the new Milan TV drama." When she saw Elena enter, she covered the receiver. "Remember to cry, but don't ruin your mascara. Let the tears fall on the second pearl, it will photograph better that way." Reporters packed the entrance hall, their flashbulbs were like tiny suns, dazzling Elena. She counted 7 cameras before Philip was finally escorted out by bodyguards. His suit was crumpled like a rag, his tie stained with red wine, his eyes darting away from hers. "The Vanderbilt family statement," Margaret said, her voice cutting through the shutter clicks. She held a Bible in one hand and pressed the other on Philip's shoulder. Regarding recent rumors about my son Philip and Ms. Sophia Rossi, we issue the following clarification. Ms. Sophia Rossi was commissioned by Milan TV to collaborate with Philip in promoting the remake of Roman Holiday. A 3-month cooperation agreement was signed, with a contract value of 63 million Dutch guilders. The room erupted. Reporters' questions flooded in like a tide. Elena's nails dug into the blister on her palm. The pain almost made her cry out. She watched the Telegraph reporter scribble frantically, her pen piercing the paper. Philip stood abruptly. That's not true. Sophia, Be quiet, Margaret said, tapping her cane on the floor. The sound was as sharp as breaking glass. Have you forgotten who you are? She turned to the cameras, her smile warm as a grandmother's. Unfortunately, Ms. Rossi breached the contract. She bribed a doctor in my son's name to forge a pregnancy certificate, attempting to extort the Vanderbilt family. We have preserved all evidence and will pursue legal action. Flashbulbs swallowed Philip's pale face. Elena suddenly saw herself at 18, standing at the Little Annie premiere, surrounded by reporters asking about her first love. How had Philip quietly, on Christmas Eve 1991, you said you were going to Zurich on business. Instead, you bought Sophia a Cartier bracelet. I still have the receipt. Do you want to see it? Philip's face turned deathly pale. The pen tip pierced the paper. Margaret tapped the table with her cane. Sign. As the pen scratched across the paper, Elena heard a faint creak from her spine, the same sound she heard when she married into the Vanderbilt family. At 16, she held her head high to accept her European Film Award, even with paint patches sewn into her dress. Now, she held her head high as her husband signed the divorce papers, even as her heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. As the butler retreated with the signed papers, Philip suddenly grabbed Elena's wrist, his grip so tight it felt like he might crush her bones. All these years, did you ever love me? Even for a second? The jasmine perfume of Sophia lingered on his cuff, mixed with the smell of hospital disinfectant, making Elena nauseous. Elena pulled her hand away gently, as gracefully as she had accepted her trophy from the can judges. I loved the boy who secretly wiped the red wine off my skirt at the Little Annie premiere, she said, her eyes fixed on his face. But that boy died the day you married me. Margaret rang a silver bell. A maid entered with champagne. Vintage 1980 view. Click what? The year Elena had retired from acting. To new beginnings, the elderly woman said, raising her glass. Amber light from the wine spilled over the loose skin of her neck. Elena, from today onward, you are no longer Philip's wife. You are the head of the Vanderbilt family. As Elena took the champagne flute, her fingertips brushing its cold surface, she noticed the clasp of Margaret's pearl necklace had come loose for the first time in 20 years. As champagne bubbles burst on her tongue, the phone rang, shattering the silence. The butler covered the receiver, his face grave. It's Ms. Sophia from the Rome Gallery. She says she wants to talk to you.